You can't get rid of the Babadook.
You can bring me the boy. You can bring me the boy. You can bring me the boy.
What do you want? You're trespassing in my house!
Sam, I need help.
The movie begins, we see a couple, Oscar and Amelia. Amelia is about to give birth, so she's extremely nervous. Oscar, panicking as well, is driving the car really fast. Because of his speed, he loses control of the vehicle and can't avoid an oncoming truck. Their car crashes straight into it, leading to a horrific accident. At that exact moment, Amelia hears someone screaming. Someone is calling out to her mom, and suddenly Amelia wakes up. Everything we just saw was actually part of her dream. But the accident itself really did happen 7 years ago. In that crash, her husband Oscar lost his life. Amelia survived, and on that same day she gave birth to a baby boy. But she never truly loved her son the way a mother should be, because deep down she feels like he's somehow responsible for that tragic day. Even now it was her son Samuel who woke her up by screaming. It was the middle of the night. He had another nightmare. He keeps dreaming about monsters every single night, and he's convinced that a monster is hiding inside their house. That's why he wakes Amelia up daily, checking under the bed, inside the closet, everywhere, just to make sure no monster is lurking around. Once Samuel is finally convinced that the house is safe, he asks his mom to tell him a story, and then he falls asleep. But by now it's already very late. Amelia's sleep is completely ruined. She has to go to work in the morning, and she barely manages to get a few hours of rest. And this isn't happening for the first time. This has been going on for weeks, and Amelia hasn't had a proper night's sleep in a long time. That same morning, she suddenly wakes up to the sound of something breaking. When she goes downstairs, she sees that the front window is shattered, and of course it's Samuel's doing. She glares at him in anger, but Samuel quickly tries to explain. He says, "Mom, look, I made a new weapon to kill the monster." Hearing this just makes Amelia even more irritated. His obsession with monsters is getting worse, and she's completely fed up with it. Anyway, she takes him along and leaves the house heading to visit sister. After a few days, it was almost time for Samuel and his niece's birthday, a celebration they had been sharing together for the past 7 years. But this time, sister refused. She said she wanted to throw a princess-themed birthday party just for her daughter with other girls. Hearing this completely broke Amelia. She never wanted to celebrate Samuel's birthday at home anyway because that was the same day Oscar had died. Still, she didn't say anything to her sister. And when her sister started giving her a lecture about moving on in life, Amelia simply got up and walked away. That night, just like every other night, Samuel made her check every corner of his room before going to bed. Then he asked her to read him a story. But this time the book he handed to her, Amelia didn't even remember bringing it home. The book was called Babadook, and neither of them had read it before. As she opened it, she realized it was a horror story. Amelia asked, "Where did you get this book?" Samuel replied that it was on the shelf, and when he went near it, it just fell down on its own. Anyway, Amelia started reading the book and quickly realized it was centered around a terrifying monster called the Babadook. The book clearly stated that once the Babadook enters your life, there's no escaping it. On the next page it said that if you hear the sound Babadook duk duk 3 times, it means it's already near you. It could come out from a window, from behind a door, or even from inside a closet. As Amelia turned the next page, it read, "When you hear that knocking sound, you'll find me getting closer to you. If you look carefully, you'll start to see me. And when I take off my mask, you'll be filled with terror, begging me for help. Begging for your life." Reading all this made even Amelia feel uneasy. So she quickly shut the book and placed it on top of a cupboard far out of Samuel's reach. The next morning, while they were having breakfast, Amelia suddenly found a piece of glass in her food. Shocked, she immediately stopped eating and checked her son's plate as well. Then inspected all the utensils, but found no glass anywhere. That's when she started to suspect this might just be another one of Samuel's strange pranks. Because of this, Amelia starts yelling at Samuel. But Samuel insists, "I didn't do it, the Babadook did." Hearing this, Amelia swallows her anger. Because she doesn't want to argue with her son right now, she has to go to work. That evening when she returns home, she finds her entire room trashed and someone has ruined her husband's picture. This makes her furious, and she immediately starts scolding Samuel, asking why he would do something like this. Samuel gets scared. He pushes her away and, grabbing one of his homemade weapons, runs down into the basement. Amelia is left helpless. Day by day, she's becoming more and more frustrated with her son's behavior. Later that night when she goes to sleep, she suddenly hears Samuel screaming again from his room. When she checks on him, she sees that he's even more terrified than before. Hiding under the bed, he tells her he saw the Babadook, that it's coming inside, and begs her not to let it in. Seeing his panic, she somehow manages to calm him down. But then she notices something strange. The same Babadook book she had kept on top of the cupboard is now lying on the table. She's confused about how it got there. Still, she realizes that this is what's been scaring Samuel. In anger, she grabs the book, tears it apart, and throws it into the trash outside. The next day, Amelia has to go to her sister's house for Samuel's cousin's birthday. Samuel stays quiet there, but on the way back, he suddenly becomes terrified again. He starts screaming and looking out the window, shouting, "Go away! Get out of here!" Frightened by his behavior, Amelia pulls the car over and scolds him, asking what's wrong with him. Samuel insists that the Babadook is there. Amelia snaps back, saying, "There's no such thing as the Babadook. Please just act normal for a while." But as soon as she says this, Samuel's condition worsens. His body starts jerking uncontrollably. Seeing this, Amelia becomes even more scared and rushes him to the nearest hospital. The doctors later explained that all of this happened due to extreme stress. Amelia tells the doctor that she's always been terrified of her imaginary monsters. Because of that, not only her life but Samuel's life has been seriously disturbed. The doctor advises Amelia to take Samuel to a psychiatrist and gives both of them sleeping pills so they can finally get some proper rest that night. Amelia returns home with the pills, and they both take them. For the first time in a long while, they sleep peacefully without any worries. The next morning, Amelia wakes up to the sound of someone knocking on her door. When she goes to check, there's no one there. But right outside her door, she finds the same book she had torn apart and thrown in the trash. She picks it up and realizes someone has taped it back together. Even worse, new pictures have been added to the story, showing that Amelia will first kill her dog, then her son, and finally herself. Terrified, she starts believing that someone is stalking her, some kind of psychopath who wants to kill them. In anger, she burns the book, but when she goes back inside, she hears a phone ringing. As soon as she answers it, a horrifying voice speaks from the other end. Still, she doesn't think it's a monster. She's convinced it's a real person, watching them and trying to harm them. So she immediately goes to the police station to file a complaint. She tells the police that someone is threatening her. When they ask for proof, she explains that it started with a book, and now she's been receiving strange phone calls for quite some time. When the police ask to see the book, she tells them she already burned it. Just as she's about to explain more, she notices a hanging coat inside the station and suddenly panics. Without finishing her report, she runs out of the station in fear. Later that night, as she lies in bed, she suddenly hears the door creak open. Terrified, she pulls the blanket over her face. After a long silence, she slowly peeks out and sees the Babadook hanging from the ceiling. Before she can react, it attacks her, and in shock, she frantically turns on the lamp. But at that moment, the Babadook had already disappeared. She quickly picked Samuel up and rushed downstairs into the living room. She was completely terrified now, and she finally started believing what Samuel had been saying. She turned the TV on at full volume and didn't sleep for even a minute. Because she stayed awake the entire night, she became extremely irritable, and the next morning when Samuel asked for food, she snapped at him. But later she felt guilty about her behavior and took Samuel out for ice cream. While they were driving back, Amelia suddenly saw the Babadook in her rearview mirror, and that same voice echoed in her ears again. Babadook, dook, dook. She got so lost in that sound that she didn't even realize when she crashed the car. Thankfully, they weren't seriously hurt. They stopped for a while and then returned home. After coming back, Amelia's behavior became very strange. She seemed much calmer than before. Once home, she even fell asleep. But after some time, she heard someone whispering in her ear, and then she realized it sounded like someone was inside the house. She woke up in fear and went downstairs, only to find Samuel talking to a woman on the phone, telling her everything. When Amelia grabbed the phone, she realized he had called their neighbor. She took the phone and apologized, saying it was just one of Samuel's pranks and nothing more. After that, she got extremely angry at Samuel, questioning why he would do something like this. In her rage, she even cut all the phone lines. Samuel tried to explain that he was scared the Babadook would come back. Holding a knife in her hand, she angrily showed it to him and said, "There is no Babadook here and no one is coming." She then locked all the doors and windows in the house. At this point, his mom was acting very strange, which made Samuel even more scared. He grabbed the weapons he had made and went down into the basement. Night fell again, and Amelia tried to give Samuel sleeping pills and even took some herself. Samuel pretended to swallow the pill, but didn't actually take it because he was afraid the Babadook would return and he might have to protect his mom. After that, Amelia sat down with Samuel and started watching cartoons. But within moments, she began having hallucinations. She saw her son lying to the side dead, with stab wounds in his chest, music, just like she had seen in the book, exactly the same. She gets terrified. As she walks towards Samuel, he suddenly screams loudly. That's when we realize Amelia actually has a knife in her hand and was about to kill Samuel. If Samuel hadn't screamed, she wouldn't have snapped out of it. From this moment, we understand that the Babadook has possessed her. It has taken control of her, and now it plans to use Amelia to kill her own son, and even the dog. After that, it will kill Amelia too. Amelia sits down to the side, and her dog starts barking at her as if she's no longer the same person. Around this time, Amelia notices her son heading down toward the basement. She follows him, but when she gets there, she doesn't see her son. Instead, she sees her husband, Oscar, standing there. She runs to him, hugs him, and starts crying. She says she thought he was dead, that he's finally come back, that her belief was true. But then Oscar tells her that they can stay together forever if she wants. The only condition is she has to give him their son. The moment he says that, Amelia realizes the truth. That's not Oscar, it's the Babadook, disguised as him trying to take her child. She immediately runs back upstairs. The Babadook keeps chasing her, but she manages to get into a room and lock the door. But it doesn't stop there. The Babadook climbs over a cabinet and attacks her, completely taking over her body. We see her eyes turn completely black, showing that the evil entity has fully possessed her. Outside, Samuel and the dog watch her in fear. Amelia's body starts twitching violently. The dog, worried, goes near her and starts barking. But Amelia, now consumed by rage, grabs the dog, takes it into the kitchen, and brutally kills it. After killing the dog, she runs as fast as she can towards Samuel's room. But Samuel has already locked the door. No matter how many times she knocks, he doesn't open it. Then Amelia starts calling out to him in a different, unsettling way. She tells Samuel, "Hurry up, our dog is hurt. We need to take him to the hospital right now." But Samuel realizes something isn't right. His mom is acting like she's possessed by that dark force. When Amelia sees that her son isn't falling for her act, she threatens to kill him. Then climbing up above the door, in a terrifying, unnatural way, she actually breaks it down. At this point, Amelia starts hurling abuse at him. She screams, "You should have died instead of my husband. I don't love you at all." Her face looks absolutely horrifying, but Samuel stays calm. Looking straight into her eyes, he says, "You're not my mom." The moment he says that, the entity inside Amelia becomes even more furious and prepares to attack him. But before it can strike, Samuel sets off a bunch of firecrackers right in front of her. The attack catches her off guard, making her even angrier, but it also gives Samuel the chance to escape. He runs to check on his dog, only to find that it's already dead. As he turns back, he sees Amelia standing there again. But now she looks strangely calm. She apologizes and says, "I'm sorry. I never gave you the love I should have. I was always lost in the grief of your father. But now I've decided I won't be like that anymore. I'll fix everything. I'll even reunite you with your dad." But Samuel understands what she really means. She wants to kill him and send him to his father. Since Samuel has already prepared himself for these kinds of horrors, he stays alert, gripping a knife in his hand. As his mom moves in to kill him, just before she can choke him, Samuel stabs her in the leg. She screams in pain, giving him another chance to run. He rushes into the basement and hides. When Amelia follows him down, Samuel pulls a rope trap he had set earlier, causing her to fall and lose consciousness. When she wakes up, she finds herself tightly tied up, and Samuel, terrified, is sitting off to the side near the stairs. As soon as she regains consciousness, he looks at her and says, "Mom, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to save you." Samuel tells her, "Mom, I know you don't love me, and that's exactly what the Babadook is taking advantage of. But I won't let anything bad happen, not to you and not to me." He slowly walks toward his mom, but just then, Amelia breaks free from the ropes, grabs him, and starts choking him. Even then, Samuel gently caresses her face. Because of this, the real Amelia begins to come back to her senses, and the Babadook's possession starts weakening. Her body begins to jerk violently, and then a black form emerges, showing that the evil force is finally leaving her body. Finally, Amelia regains consciousness and takes Samuel upstairs with her. As they're coming down, Samuel suddenly stops her and says, "Mom, didn't you read it in that book? Mr. Babadook wrote, 'You can't get rid of me.'" The moment he says this, an invisible force grabs Samuel from behind and drags him into his room. Amelia runs after him, knowing it's the Babadook. She tries to save her son, as he's being slammed against the walls again and again. She catches him mid-air and holds him tightly to her chest, then shouts, "Stop! This is my house. Things will go my way here." Right then, Oscar appears in front of her. But Amelia isn't fooled anymore. She knows it's another trick of the Babadook. She says, "I'm not afraid of you. I will save my son." As she says this, the Babadook starts screaming loudly. The entire house begins to shake violently. Everything trembles. But this time, Amelia doesn't fall. She hugs her son tightly and says, "You are nothing. I won't let you even scratch my son." As soon as she says this, the Babadook weakens and collapses. In reality, the Babadook was feeding on Samuel's fear and Amelia's lack of love. Now that Samuel is no longer afraid and Amelia truly loves him, the Babadook becomes powerless and falls. When Amelia tries to touch it, the creature retreats and hides in the basement, bringing its terror to an end. In the post-credit scene, we see Amelia and Samuel much happier than before. Amelia now loves him deeply and has started moving on from her husband's death, even celebrating Samuel's birthday. Every day she feeds the Babadook with worms grown in their garden. When she goes to give it food, the Babadook tries to attack her. But seeing her courage, it backs down and quietly pulls the bowl toward itself. And with that eerie moment, the movie comes to an end. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section.